In 1964, almost 50 years ago to the day, the world's finest golfers arrived in London for a new tournament.
This time it's Jack Nicklaus, the Canada Cup winner, former American Open and Masters winner, with his attractive wife Barbara in a smart black and white check suit.
As we continue our countdown to the 50th anniversary of the Volvo World Match Play, we hear from Jack Nicklaus about his memories of the event.
Well, it started sometime in the 60s, and I played in it, I don't know how many times I played it, I think I only won it once. We played it at Wentworth. I always enjoyed playing Wentworth. I always enjoyed the golf course. I first came here in 1959. I was on the Walker Cup team, and we went to Wentworth after the Walker Cup matches in May, and it was as hard as this floor. And you couldn't keep a ball on the green to save your life. And then all of a sudden, we're playing a tournament there, and I'm saying, we're going back to that place? And when we got there, it was a totally different golf course. All the best players came from all over the world, and the event was very well received by the public and the press, and the players.
The World Match Play was founded in 1964 by sports agent and founder of IMG, Mark McCormack. It was the ideal way for him to showcase his stable of talent.
I liked the 36-hole matches. I mean, it was something different. It's something we didn't do on a normal basis. To come to London, to come over here, and all of a sudden, it's not just a normal tournament. It was something different and something special. I liked that.
Gary Player excelled in the match play format. He won 4 of the first 8 titles and defeated Jack in the 1966 final.
Gary played very well. He played Wentworth well. Of course, Gary was a good player. I mean, he was a great player. We had great competitions, and I think that's about the only time that Gary and I ever really played much head-to-head golf was in the World Match Play.
But Nicklaus proved a fine match play golfer himself, both in the Ryder Cup and throughout his distinguished amateur career, and he would beat Lee Trevino to claim the title in 1970.
I grew up playing a lot of match play in amateur golf. I didn't lose very many matches in match play, and I didn't lose all that many matches, you know, even when I played in the Ryder Cup or anything else. As a match player, I always, you know, you play the golf course, but at the same time you're watching your opponent, so you adjust your game to it. I always enjoy the strategy of how to you know, you go play the golf course, and then all of a sudden your opponent does something, so you alter maybe playing at the pin or playing away from the pin, or your opponent hits it next to the hole, you have to go for the pin. I like that little cat and mouse game of, you know, back and forth. I always thought that was fun. I think it produces better golfers, it produces more aggressiveness, it produces more toughness, more grit as you come down the stretch. I like match play.
The London club will host the event when it returns to England in October, and Jackie's ideally placed to give a guide to the layout. He designed the heritage course here and played the tournament track, the International, a few months ago.
There's been a few additions to the golf course, mostly length. Par 5s needed length to combat the guys for today. The course when I did it was about 7,200 yards. It's now about 73 and a half, I think, somewhere around that area. Fairways are a generous width, not extreme, but they're generous. There's a lot of semi-rough, which I'm sure they'll grow up a little bit for the tournament right now. And then, of course, you have your native rough on the outside of that, which frames the golf course. The bunkers are deep. The greens will have good speed to them, and they have a fair amount of pitch to them. Not a lot of undulations. They're fairly soft from a contour standpoint. It'll be set nicely for the match play.
In 2008 and 2009, the European Open was played on the heritage course and hosted some fantastic moments, including this brilliant bunker shot by Ross Fisher to win the tournament.
The weather always plays a tremendous factor in Britain. You can have a dry course with wind and make it very difficult, or you could have a wet, cold golf course. You could have lots of things that can happen. There'll be some good scores, but they'll have to play golf.